Hello, this is the daily COVID update from Deccan Herald. I am Akhil. On the bulletin today, Karnataka reports 143 new cases. Most continue to be from Maharashtra. After domestic air travel, the railways plans to resume operations soon. In our series of conversations tracking life after COVID, we speak to Mrin Agarwal to see how personal finances can be brought back under control.
The COVID situation has really shown people that anything can happen at any point in time, and hence it's really important to focus on financial security.
But first, I'll look at the daily figures. At the time of this recording, we're still waiting for figures from states with high caseloads like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu and Gujarat. Barring these states, India has over 64,000 active cases in the country right now, and ICMR has tested more than 26 lakh samples with the novel coronavirus so far. More than 1 lakh samples were tested in the last 24 hours. The number of COVID-19 patients needing critical care in the hospital has doubled in the last 1 month in absolute numbers, and the count of such seriously sick patients has increased by fivefold, according to a back-of-the-envelope calculation of the government data. Before we take a look at the figures from Karnataka, here are some key updates from the country. After the government announced the resumption of domestic air travel, the airfare has been capped for a 3-month period. The pricing has been decided on the basis of flight duration, which is divided into 7 sections. A Delhi-Mumbai flight ticket will be priced between 3,500 and 10,000 rupees for the next 3 months. A Mumbai-based flight will cost between 3,000 and 9,000 rupees, whereas a Bangalore to Delhi flight is expected to cost between 4,500 to 13,000 rupees. The railways will also resume its normal operations soon. The sale of tickets at reservation counters will be started in 2 to 3 days. There's a huge demand for tickets for 200 trains to be started on June 1st, and the railways is struggling to get its online ticket booking system up to speed. After MSMEs were given substantive relief to tide over the COVID-19 crisis in the financial package announced by the finance minister, many other businesses are now requesting the government to be included in the medium and small sectors. India's 7 crore strong traders, including wholesale, retail and others, have written to the Prime Minister for their inclusion in the MSME sector. The Apparel Export Council asked for a change in criteria so that they can also be included under MSMEs. Moving on to the numbers from Karnataka now. 143 new cases were reported from the state today, a surge from the 67 reported yesterday. Most of those who tested positive today have a travel history to Maharashtra, and the 59 of those are from Mumbai alone. Travel histories include Jharkhand, Rajasthan, Telangana, Tamil Nadu and the UAE. The highest number of cases have come in from Mandya. Udupi is a close second. All of Hassan's 13 cases are from Maharashtra, and Bellari's 11 cases are from Mumbai. The source of the infection is being traced for 1 patient in Bengaluru and 1 in Mandya. With this, the state has reported 1,605 cases in total, of which 992 are active cases. 571 patients have recovered while 41 have died. The state has tested more than 4,000 samples in the last 24 hours. Moving on to a few updates from Karnataka, the state government has clarified that marriages that were previously scheduled to be held on May 24th and May 31st, Sundays, will be exempt from the total lockdown under Lockdown 4.0. The government has issued this clarification following petitions from citizens who wanted to know if they could go ahead with marriages that were scheduled on Sundays. Although the new guidelines from the MHA have not made use of the Arogya Setu compulsory in Karnataka, the Medical Education Minister Dr. K. Sudhakar has made the use of the app mandatory for government employees. According to the minister, the app has to be downloaded by all from the Gram Panchayat level to those working in the Secretariat. For many of us, the lockdown and the pandemic have been life-changing events. Almost everyone is going through a job crisis. For those of us who are still lucky to have a job or a stable income, taking care of personal finance becomes more important than ever. In our series of conversations on life post-COVID-19, my colleague Furquan Moharkan explores some of the best investment options available and also what the recent TDS and EPF cuts mean to most salaried people.
It's been 50 days of the lockdown already to battle the coronavirus pandemic. And in this time period, the incomes of 84% of the Indian households have come down. So this changed the dynamics of how we used to look at the personal finance in the pre-COVID world. To discuss all this, we have with us Mrin Agarwal, founder of Finsafe India. Thanks, Mrin, for joining us.
Thank you, Furqan.
So how do you see the personal finance space stepping up in this post-lockdown world where we have seen people's incomes being reduced either fully or partially?
The COVID situation has really shown people that anything can happen at any point in time, and hence it's really, really important, to focus on financial security. One of the things that they really need to start focusing on is getting back to basics, and figuring out having 6 to 12 months of expenses kept aside as emergency cash, having the right amount of medical and life insurance covered.
So moving on, one of the biggest things that we have seen in the past month in April, after the March mayhem, whatever happened, the equity markets have tried to stabilize a bit and they're in the green most of the time. But another particular thing that has been observed is the growth in the number of investors in the COVID lockdown period. So what are the do's and don'ts in the equity market investing right now in such a scenario when macros are not looking good?
So it's surprising that the number of demat accounts have gone up so much, and it shows that these are the new investors who are coming into equities. And I would not say that, jumping into buying stocks and trading stocks is the right way to go about it. Because again, as an individual investor, what knowledge do you have in terms of what is the right stock to buy, or the right sector to get into? And yes, while it's a good time to certainly invest your money because you're getting things cheaper than what they were probably at the beginning of the year, is there a financial goal that they want to fulfill with this? I would actually say start with a mutual fund. Start with a multi-cap equity fund rather than just going and buying a couple of stocks and trading on that.
So the another thing that has been picking up in the markets, especially the gold ETFs.
So as far as gold is concerned, the gold ETF is fine. I think even the sovereign gold bond scheme is fine. But the question to really ask is that do we need to own more gold? Because as you know, as Indian families, we all hold a lot of gold in physical form, right, in form of jewelry. And typically, it's not recommended to have more than 10% of your portfolio in gold. I'm sure a lot of Indian families have more than that. So given that again, and given the way the gold prices have moved, I'm not sure it's a great idea to have invested right now in a gold ETF. But yes, if you still want to invest in gold, the gold ETF is good, and the sovereign gold bond scheme is also a good investment.
Moving on to the last but the most important question of the day. So government recently announced a couple of COVID-related measures. The first one was the reduction in the base rate for the people, and the second one was the reduction in the contribution. So how does it impact the long-term and short-term savings of our rewards?
So if you were to take up the TDS first, so TDS is tax deduction at source. As you may be knowing that on fixed deposits, if your interest is above 40,000 rupees a year, there's a TDS of 10%. Now that TDS rate has been cut from 10% to 7.5%. What this means is that right now, the amount that's going to be deducted is going to be lower, which means that you will have a higher amount of cash in your hand. Right? So if your deposit has matured, the amount of TDS that's going to get deducted is going to be lower, which means that you will have a higher amount of liquidity with you at this point in time. But it does not mean that you don't have to pay the tax. You still have to pay tax on the interest earned on the fixed deposit or on dividends received from mutual funds, right? The second part of it, which is the Employee Provident Fund, they have basically mandated that for the next 3 months, the Employee Provident Fund deduction for an employee is going to go down from 12% to 10%. So the extra 2% is again liquidity there in the hands of the employee. But remember that since this is going to mean an extra amount in your take-home income, it's going to be taxable, right? Again, looking at the amount, it does not look as if it's really going to be helpful to too many people because, if somebody is at a 50,000 rupees basic, they're going to get 1,000 rupees per month more. Now, I'm not too sure what you can achieve with that sort of money. The second point is that the employer contribution is also going to come down. And what this really means is on a longer term basis, the compounding that you achieve through the Employee Provident Fund is going to be lower than what it would have been if the 12% was getting deducted by both employer and employee.
Back to the basics, as Mrin said, might be a good way to make a fresh start. That's all from us today. For the latest updates, log on to deccanherald.com. Stay safe and we'll see you tomorrow.